junior golfer that I had the great pleasure of getting to work with, his name is Justin Biewer. He actually plays for University of Colorado now. And he actually made it to the U.S. Amateur a couple of years ago and advanced in match play pretty far as well. I don't take credit for any of that because he was already good when I got to work with him before they actually moved from my area. But one of the things that Justin does that I always think about now, that I really am become more of what I call a motion coach instead of a position coach or more of a traditional golf instructor, is that Justin did something so unique, and he was very good, very young, but he hit it, and he hit it really good. But he always would do practice swings and rehearsals watching the movement of the golf club, or being heavily involved in the movement of the golf club to the golf ball, and not really just kind of arbitrarily swinging it and thinking a lot about stuff. So he was always very engaged in the delivery. I'll use my impact pad here in my driver, but a typical Justin practice swing would be like this. He'd go back and he kind of watched that golf club come down and have a really strong sense of how he wanted that thing to deliver. And he was very familiar with the spatial relationship of the golf club to the ball. And when I always look back, it's like, man, he always hit it great. He always swung it, quote unquote, on plane. Well, he'd already discovered the way to best maintain his swing was to know where it was at all times and to keep feeding that back in so the body could continue to get better and better. So that makes me think about, like, when we learn golf, what's the first thing we tell people? Keep your eye on the ball. And you've got this foreign object in your hands that you've never had any experience with, and now you're trying to figure out where it is in space and try to get it to hit a golf ball. Now, if you've had other sport experiences, that transfer becomes a little bit easier. But for a lot of people to pick up golf, I mean, it's really hard. And I watch on most driving ranges that I've coached at, and there's a lot of people that just don't understand the motion. They're just trying to use the shaft and hit the ball and push it, and they could be so much better if they actually could unlock a different learning experience. So instead of, hey, make club hit ball, what if it was, hey, understand where the club head goes around your body and try to start to get it moving through the space that it needs to move at. Now, that may seem like a kind of a weird way to go about it, but that would actually mean that I would learn golf not necessarily hitting balls, or certainly I would be infusing something that would be much more the way I feel like Justin actually maintained his golf swing. So I would prefer, and this is how I actually teach people, and when I use my training aid, the Pro, it kind of I use that in conjunction, but is to really, hey, where is the golf club? What makes it move around my body, okay? So like if I actually watch the club head, and I know that I need to get it to deliver back here, and especially if I know that it needs to come from a folded to an unfolded spot as it comes down, there becomes a pretty obvious sense of where that is. And here's some of the really cool things that happen, I think that would happen very naturally, that would really get people started on a better foot of understanding the motion. Still gonna be a hard game to learn, I get that. But when you actually watch the golf club, you make a turn. So if I'm interested in where the club is, I make a turn. I don't get lost. I don't do a bunch of different things to it. I actually start getting an understanding of how I want this thing to travel. As I keep watching myself do it, my body starts moving with it. Your body seeks to make things easy when it moves. So any motion that you've developed, let's say like you walk into your house and you instinctively can just reach over and turn on a light switch. Well, you didn't know that when you first moved into that house. You had to look for it. But then it became such a repetitive motion that you just understood exactly where to go. It was the repetition of seeing it and kind of having a sense of where the motion needed to go to the point where your body memorizes it. And so your body is much more likely to memorize the movement of a golf club if you use your senses to help you learn it. And the reality is when we hit a golf ball is that it's the extending radius of the swing that creates the speed of it. So getting it to free fall and accelerate around us naturally, it's the face that hits it straight. If you learn golf just looking at the ball, you get all these things confused and you don't really have a really strong sense of what to do. So that's for anybody that struggles with golf and wants maybe a reset and a new approach. Start doing your practice swings like Justin did. Just look at the golf club and start getting it on a path that seems to make sense from behind you. That's going to easily find where I want it to go. You may find yourself changing your setup a little bit, but now you're using your true learning system and your senses to figure out exactly where that golf club would go. And I think if you do that, you'd be well on your way to learning golf more naturally and ultimately getting a trust in what your body can do to deliver that golf club to the ball without actually looking at it.